this side here. So instead, it's pretty much an expected lineup here with Guy Jr., or Duong as he's known, likely to be the sole striker, with anchoring that midfield. And on the bench as well, Benny Wayudi, slightly surprisingly missing out in his customary right-back slot, which is taken by Asnawi Bahar. Jamie, initial reaction there, and interesting to see the 5-goal marking and not starting.
Yes, it's one of two things. Either they're going to play conservatively tonight and aren't really looking to score but to keep the score down, in which case it's a fairly defensive move, or I do wonder if maybe he's got a little bit of a knock and they don't fancy his chances for the full 90 minutes. I suppose there's a third option. In this kind of heat, the size that he is, he may not be able to survive the full game, so maybe they're just trying to protect him a little bit.
So Kalasic and company look on now as they prepare to get us underway, and it's the sultry figure of Guy Jr. on Duong who rolls it back, and away they go though. So kicking left to right, it is PSM Makassar, our Indonesian competitors here in the red strip up against Becamex Duong. Straight away we can see them settling into a shape that traditionally would see Evans and Abdul Rahman playing through the middle. A little tweak to the fullbacks though.
Yes, Taufik was the established fullback earlier in the season. I'm not surprised to see him. I think he's very good. And I like Abdul Rahman, actually, centre-half. I think he's very effective.
Oh, the first little move forward came from Rashid Bakri, and we see opportunity straight away to see how these two sides are lining up. Pretty much as expected, 4 across the back from both. Just a question, really, of how adventurous this PSM Makassar team is in terms of how much we see the likes of Clark and certainly Plum getting forward.
It's a very tentative start to the game, I have to say. Both sides seem hugely apprehensive about what's going on. I'd expect a little bit more confidence from their players.
Oh, there's a case in point straight out of play there, and yeah, it's a nervy start. Obviously, this is knockout football. This is the first leg of a semi-final, and I guess that's playing on some of the minds out there. But these are experienced players with coaches who know exactly what this is all about. This game, you would expect, will settle down fairly soon. As just working their way down the left-hand side are PSM Makassar, who will not mind at all a slow, cagey start to this match whatsoever. No great desire, I'm sure, from them to see their opposition really get into them, settle into a rhythm. Clock who comes across, and he's got his usual defensive shielding to do here, but remarkable, really, to think that a player who plays in that position should be as prolific in front of goal. 4 goals, in fact, for Mark Clock already, which is not bad for a holding midfielder.
Actually, PSM, of course, they scored 17 goals in qualification. It could have been almost double that.
Well, there was an attempt there with the back heel that very, very nearly came off, and suddenly springing into attack here. Now Binh Duong, who keep the ball alive, moving it now to the right-hand side. Body's still in the area, that's half cleared. Just pulling away to the left-hand side there. Our first real glimpse of this very, very sharp attacking duo that they have of Winan Burke and Wanda Luiz.
They are a very good pairing, actually, and I think if that midfield 4 can get some decent service up to them, unlike that ball there, then they can cause a few problems. I'm not entirely sure about Aaron Evans. As we alluded to earlier, PSM created so many chances, and Markkanen was the chief offender missing chances in the qualification. They are a team that create a lot, and I think that's why Clark ended up getting a few goals, because there were chances for everybody.
Oh, that's a little bit better. Suddenly they burst into life. Wanda Luiz there with just a little nibble at the ankles there, and he's adjudged to have fouled his man quite correctly by referee Arul Magan.
Yeah, he brings down Taufik there. Taufik's a nice footballer. I think they're a much better team when he's playing at left full-back.
And it goes through Taufik again, nicely done, just rolls it down the line. Zamra operating on the left-hand side.
Yes, I think we'll see the 2 wide players, Rizki and Azulam Zamran, switching at different times in the game.
Well, he leaves it for Taufik, who takes over. Looks as if he might be going for a little bit of distance on this one.
Not a huge throw on him, but a little bit longer than most.
Not huge, as you say, but that's nicely done. Beautiful little turn. That was the first glimpse, really, there of what Guy Jr. can do up there. Bit of power, bit of skill, got him behind. Unable, though, to get past the second challenge, though.
He's a magnificent athlete, Guy Jr., no question at all about that.
Well, he's 32 years old right now, and he's grabbed a couple of goals in this one, but it's a thankless task, the amount of work that he'll be expected to do up there.
Yeah, I think when your team's playing away from home in one of these sorts of games, playing centre-forward means you're going to chase a lot of lost causes.
Well, the game's just beginning to get going now. A couple of challenges there. That was Clark leaving his man on the ground.
Yeah, that's an expression you might use a time or two tonight.
That's nicely done. Good vision from Wanda Luiz. Couldn't quite pick his man out there. Just looking to see how they're going to get through what looks like a very defensive setup here from PSM. The 4 really supplemented by 1, sometimes 2 shielding in midfield on the evidence of what we're seeing so far. And as a result, 1 or 2 gaps in midfield. Well, the Drummers have set a good tempo to start off with here, we know that much, and in fact the stand on the far side is filling up as this action gets underway. Nicely done once again. Turn. And that's Victor Mansaray who started the move and then continues it, but he's lost out now. No fouls as the referee, despite Mansaray's protestations.
I think that might be the first time that Bloom's touched the ball in the game. And immediately you can see what a good footballer he is.
Looks like he might need a while to just get that huge frame going, but difficult to dispossess, we know that much.
He's got a little bit of the Yaya Tourés about him. His body's too big for how skillful he is with the ball at his feet.
Well, in the end, it took an overly vigorous challenge there on Bloom, who was very hard to knock off, and he felt that perhaps he should have been adjudged the innocent party there. Can't really believe that that was given against him. No harm done, and through he goes to Rivki for a first serious touch of the ball. He wants everybody upfield. Picks his targets, and there are 2 obvious ones really, and one of them being Guy Jr., who will look to just put a bit of pressure on here, and that's what they'll be looking for. Throw deep in the Binh Duong half. As we wait for this game really to burst into any meaningful life, forward goes Hasnaoui from his right-back position.
And he has got a long throw.
Thank you, Jamie. He looks as if he's winding up and running up for this one. So look for the movement, look for the flick, look for that second run. Well, that was an improvised effort there from Bloom, and they might just get another opportunity, but that's well defended. All that was needed in the end from Binh Duong there. Lines cleared and reorganisation ongoing. Here it is once again to Bloom, whose touch wasn't the best this time around.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed with that. It's usually a better touch, but I do feel that PSM have started the rather better side of the two. Seem to be settling into a little bit of a rhythm.
There's a pattern to what they're doing. We can say that much about them, and this influential player, the captain, certainly coming into the game much more now, William Bloom. As is this one, and a bit of room there for Victor Mansaray to run, to turn. Again, he finds himself on the ground. Again, somewhat dubious, but this time it's given in their favour.
Just trod on the ball there.
Well, got the decision, as it turned out, and that's probably a second one now that has slightly baffled the PSM players. So Lertante over it now as he looks to just clip one in. There's a man spare and he misses his shot, and that really was a golden opportunity for the home side to take the lead. Don't know if there was a little bit of pressure on his back right now, and the flag was up in any case, but that did look as if it rather easily found its way to a man who was entirely left alone on the far-hand side there.
Just wasn't picked up, was he, at all? And the timing of that challenge by Zamran had to be spot on.
Well, it was Ho who just drifted into that position beyond the far post. Another warning there for PSM that they need to be on their guard defensively against a side that has got a bit of quality from the set piece, that certainly has a couple of strikers who know the way to go. It's nicely done. We're seeing a lot of involvement early on from Mansaray. This one is swung away to the right-hand side. Oh, that's neatly done again. Excellent play from To Van Fu, who really is probably the most lively attacking threat that they have down that right-hand side.
Well, he skinned Taufik there for sure.
Oh, and that's a lovely run as well. Show of ambition from Ali Rabo, all the way from the back. He heads there again right now.
But just as I was saying, PSM have made the better start. Suddenly Binh Duong find their feet. And this fella, he is a very nice footballer, I have to say. This current generation of good Vietnamese players, both under 23 and full international level.
Yeah, Van Fu there really just blasting the ball across. No great design or purpose to what he was doing, but he got in behind, and that might just trouble PSM, as he is a player full of spark, full of life, and full of danger as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, it'll be a good scrap between him and Taufik. I think Taufik is one of those fullbacks who's a little bit more comfortable getting forward than he is defending. Could get found out a bit this evening.
So a couple of half chances, a couple of moments that would suggest that things might develop in this game, but still a generally cagey feel to things in these early exchanges of this first leg of our ASEAN Zonal semi-final of this AFC Cup competition for 2019.
Of course, you're right, John. The fact that it's the semi-final for the zonal competition adds more pressure, doesn't it? And if it was the Champions League, they'd be playing a round of 16. It's not nearly as close to an accolade.
No, there's regional bragging rights at stake here. It means something, and it's a well-designed tournament for that.
I think so. I think it's good to get a Southeast Asian champion, isn't it? And you know, you do think that they're the lesser teams in the overall tournament, but if they can win bragging rights in their own environment, that's no mean achievement.
Well, he's got an awful lot to do as Guy Junior at the moment, and he's doing it very well. He's got past two. Ali Rabo, one of them. Here's Bloom, his captain. He looks to swing it far post early. The idea was there. The header wasn't quite there.
It's interesting, the contrast, wasn't it, between the two players there, Guy Junior and Bloom. Guy Junior is a terrific athlete and works very hard. Bloom is a footballer. As soon as he gets the ball there, he works it to his left foot, comfortably knocks in a very, very good cross.
Yeah, the vision to do something a little bit out of the ordinary, the quick turn, the quick thinking, and that very nearly led to the opening goal in this game. As it is, it's Binh Duong's turn to have a go right now. Wanda Luis frustrated. They know he's a danger. 2 or 3 players around him there.
Aaron Evans was just squeezing the ball there. Usually suggests that players feel it's well, usually a little bit too soft, occasionally too hard. It gets a sort of brittle feel. Referee's not interested.
Oh, we'll watch that one, see how that progresses, but as it is, oh, that's nicely done on the ball, but then he loses out there. Bloom. Again, Van Boo's the danger man, but not chosen down the right-hand side this time. Instead, the option was to go to Makassar, who's drifted in from his left flank. Uses his strength then to hold his man off, but very well defended indeed for the time being. Poor cross, poor clearance, rather, leading to a cross and danger. And so far, that's typified this opening, quarter of an hour of this match. Something good followed by something a little bit less good, a little bit scrappy. Looking to settle really into some kind of a pattern of a game.
Yeah, I think these early kickoffs don't really do the games too much of a favour. Not only is the pitch covered by the sun in the early part, and obviously it's very hot, less of a crowd because people have got to finish work before they get there. So sometimes the pace takes a little while to pick up. Usually the second half is a lot more entertaining and a lot more open, a lot more athletic.
Higher optimism as it is. They're really just sparring at the moment, these two sides once again, looking for that opening. Maybe looking just to get to the point in the half when physicality and fitness levels become a factor. That's well read and well intercepted, and away they come once again through. Bloom picks out his man. There was an opportunity to slide a through ball there, just didn't take it. Rizky Sanjaya it was who had that opportunity, and instead it's a little bit of a mix-up of 2 challenges in midfield that really weren't expected, and as a result, Taufik went down. Abdul Rahman found something to complain about. And really, it was the 2 players running into one another there, the 2 teammates. Possibility of a dead leg in there. That's what upset Abdul Rahman.
Yeah, he's not normally a whinger, Abdul Rahman. He's a very robust player in his own right. I think the circumstances got a bit beyond him there.
No harm done. Away they go once again. The ever-present Bloom, nicely done. Guy Junior looking to get around. Oh, that's a hefty challenge on him, and as such it is penalised. Ali Rabo it was, who just got a bit too much of him there, and this is a position of some danger just outside the Binh Duong penalty area. It's a talking to, but nothing more than that.
It's a rash challenge, isn't it? He's just a yard behind his man. I think he would argue he got a little bit on the ball, but these days that's not enough.
A little on the ball, a lot on the man.
Yeah.
It's all about control at situations like that, and there wasn't a great deal from Ali Rabo there. So, having conceded that one, the man from Burkina Faso now has to join his defenders in trying to ensure this doesn't lead to anything more harmful than just a free kick. It's clock standing over it. Very close. And it's a question of up, over, round, power, or is it just going to be left and lifted there into a position where they can attack it?
Noticeable, Bloom's not in the picture there. He's a giant of a man, but he has no great fondness for heading the football.
Funny old game, as they say. So they have got plenty of bodies in there. 5 of them for PSM, and it's dragged back to nobody, unfortunately. Something was wrong communication-wise there. Mark Clark pulled it back, only though to a blue-shirted Binh Duong defender, and that really was a wasted opportunity.
It's got to be one of the worst free kicks that we've seen taken, really. He managed to pick out an unmarked opponent in the penalty area.
On the penalty spot.
Yeah. Oh, well, back to the drawing board for that one.
All right. Fascinated, and you've obviously seen a lot more of Blim than me, to think that that man isn't able to be a physical presence in the area. That is something of a waste of resources. Nicely done out to the right-hand side, where there's plenty of room to get across in here. It's flicked up in the air from Evans, not the most convincing. And as it just runs out of play down this near side here, it's going to be a Binh Duong ball. Quickly taken, the throw, nice turn. Plum was back there just doing what he does well, just covering for his side. Oof, and that's another wrap around the shin guard there for Guy Jr., and that's a little bit hefty from Trung Trinh.
But that one was borderline. I think the referee was just saying you're a fraction away from a yellow card there. It's a fairly cynical challenge, that, isn't it? He was nowhere near the ball at the time.
Yeah, well, you don't have to be a lip reader to know. You're absolutely right, Jamie. That was right. Next one and you're carded. And it's still fairly early in this game, just 20 minutes or so on the clock right now. Not particularly what you want your young left-back to be doing this early in the game, picking up a caution. So again, we find ourselves in a lull as PSM Makassar look to just build from the back and do so patiently. Well, the coaching staff not entirely happy with what was happening there, but again, the captain trying to make something out of not very much at all.
He really has got some very extravagant touches on the ball. Looks very improbable. And of course, it is down to the home team to make the running. If they're going to allow their opponents to dwell on the ball and kill the time, then I think Makassar will be very happy about that.
And they'll be happy enough with this because probably the most dangerous Binh Duong player, Van Boo, started that move, but he was deep inside his own half, and really that's not where they want him at all. And now in that unfamiliar position, he'll switch with his fullback. He's committed a foul. Looked like the challenge of a winger really there, and as a result, it's going to be PSM with an opportunity far over on that left-hand side. Taufik happy to just roll it inside. Clock now, and he'll continue that movement towards the right. This time it doesn't stick. And that's nicely played out from the back. And this is what Binh Duong do well, when they can get those little triangles going, when they can move the ball, as the better Vietnamese sides do. And there's an opportunity for Victor Mansarai there. He goes shoulder to shoulder, and it's a splendid battle, it has to be said, that one. Asnawi giving no quarter there.
No, certainly he's in boxing parlance, it will be a catchweight contest. A little bit rash, his final challenge. This is a good one. And then I think he sees red a little bit there. That wasn't there for him to win. Should have just stood his ground as a player was going away from goal.
Now, this is a dangerous position, a chance to get some real movement on this ball and maybe arrow it in under that crossbar. They're all lined up in there. Wanda Louise, an obvious target. And you feel that Captain Plum's going to have to play a major role here. Like it or not. They've gone far post, it's kept in play, and there is Plum, who does manage to manufacture a header assault, and away it goes. Danger only half cleared though, and that's floated back in. They make something of it nicely. Le Tantai keeps it alive. Out to the right they go. Wanda Louise has stayed out. There he is. Looks up, looks for his options, takes a sensible one. Can they get the ball in? Yes, they do. And it's a sliding clearance from Evans.
Well, there's no question which side is executing the set pieces to greater effect. Again, Binh Duong looking dangerous when they took that ball.
It's twice now they've got round the back, haven't they, with nobody paying much attention on the far post. And that will have been noted by Binh Duong, that there are opportunities presenting themselves from these set plays. That's well won in the tackle. And there are now spaces opening up on the left-hand side of that PSM Makassar defence. But they're bailed out by the assistant who's seen an infringement, awarding a free kick to the visitors. Just a couple of moments back, though, Jamie, we saw a little bit of progressive passing play from Binh Duong, which really is something that we see from the better Vietnamese teams at all age group levels now, including the full national side. That's when they're at their best, when they are able to show that close control, able to pass and move, and that's something that this man will be aware of. He spoke about them playing long balls earlier on to the two strikers. It's not always that way.
No, we've seen this. They've looked at their best when they've been moving the ball around. They've got good mobility as well. It's a very modern game that the Vietnamese play. As you say, they're playing at every level, club and international level.
Yeah, there's consistency from them here. We're seeing an interesting mixture of approaches here from PSM Makassar, who look as if they've got the physicality in terms of the edge. That might have been a little bit strong in the challenge there. Again, the referee resists the temptation to reach for his card.
There's a suspicion that Taufik might be making rather a lot of this one. Let's have a look.
Oh, Van Boek catches him.
Yeah, he does. And if you look at that left ankle, it does turn over quite uncomfortably.
So maybe a little bit lucky to get away with what was really a messy challenge there for Van Boek. Tarthuk's not sufficiently inconvenienced to not be able to take the free kick, which he does, and away we go again. 9 fouls committed by Binh Duong. And fortunately there, hang of the head from William Plum as that ball rolls out of play somewhat embarrassingly. And away we go with Binh Duong into, I'd like to say, one of the danger men. Wanda Louise, there's another one. And what looked like a good tackle, a ball-winning tackle, has again been adjudged to have been illegal by referee Rowan Arumagan. Just to see that one again, as once more it's a free kick in a potentially dangerous position for Becamex Binh Duong.
It was Rashid Bakri who got himself into trouble in the first place, losing the ball in a fairly dangerous area.
Well, it's the number 14, Len Tan Tai, who stands over this one. We've seen decent delivery with his right foot so far, but there's a whole cabal of players who look as if they fancy this one, not least the number 11. And of course, when you're Win and Duc, you pull rank just about on everybody. Captain might fancy something here.
There's plenty of room to get the ball up and down, that's the good thing. I just feel that that's what, close to 35 yards, maybe a little bit too far.
Well, he's adopted the pose of someone who strikes a free kick. Let's see if it is him or if it's Len Tan Tai. It is Anduk, and there was never going to be enough power on that one as it sails harmlessly wide.
Yeah, Rifki had that one covered comfortably, didn't he? Scampered across to the far post, just watched the ball go past.
We had a couple of those in a game we were covering last night, and you feel in modern parlance you really need to look for that so-called knuckle ball. You need to be hitting into the valve. You need something to happen explosively on that ball to make it trouble a keeper from that kind of range. Curl alone, surely not enough for a keeper of Rifki's quality. Oh, that's decently struck out to the far side, looking for Van Boek, who's kept possession of the ball, and now he makes a foray infield, but gives it away. And they can build here, that's neatly done. A little give and go there involving Plume, but it's lost in midfield. Yet to really string much together in those midfield areas. We've got Sul Zamran operating wide. We've got Rashid Bakri struggling to get on the ball as much as perhaps he might like. Rizki Sanjaya as well. I haven't really seen enough of them linking up with the captain. And in contrast, we've seen some fairly good work in the wide areas from Binh Duong so far. Much of that which has been good from them has come from the likes of Mansarai or Van Fu over on the right side. Well, Mark Klopp's decided he's going to take over proceedings here, but running really into a blind alley, and the ball is lost. Mansarai uses his strength to win it back, and again the whistle goes maybe a little bit sooner than some of us might have wanted.
I think if we take a look at that again from Mansarai, we will find that it was a foul. But it's one of those that you usually get away with. A referee a little bit on the fussy side, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an objective assessment. It's just punctuated the game a little bit too much. It's not allowing things to flow just now, but he's got his job to do. He will be assessed, and yeah, you're absolutely right. If it was a foul, he has to give it. There's Mansarai once again. Opportunity for the switch, nicely done. And there's Ho Tan Tai, and he gets his head down and he goes again. Van Vu's got an option. Instead, he goes for the cross, looking for Wanda Louise. Couldn't pick him out. And that's ambitious from Len Tan Tai from some way out. Wanda Louise is still in there scrapping for it. And they could do with clearing this, which they eventually managed to do. A little over eager in the attention there.
I think 30 minutes gone, 0-0 is absolutely where the game should be. I think both sides have shown little bits of quality, but neither side has gained much of an ascendancy over a length of time.
Well, that wasn't really his strongest suit, Abdul Rahman. They're trying to play a ball into Guy Jr. and missing by some way. So possession surrendered, and Binh Duong look to continue with what's more of a possession-based game, if we're going to be broadly analytical about these two sides' approach so far. The only thing is, though, they need to find some penetration to go with it. And with Unduk struggling really to get on the end of anything so far, those balls up top haven't caused much trouble. It's 1 against 3. And in the end, he manages to dig a shot out, but Guy Jr. there was really looking for a corner as much as anything.
I think he'll be pretty pleased with his work there. Certainly held the ball up nicely to begin with. Has a look round, there's nobody in support. OK, I'll have a go at goal. Took a deflection. If it hadn't taken a deflection, it would have worked the keeper.
And as a result, an opportunity. Yep, you're absolutely right. The tallest man on the pitch will not be getting on the end of this one because he's going to be delivering it. The PSM captain, William Bloom, but nothing wrong with that, given the quality he has on the ball. So, he's got another 5 PSM Makassar players to aim at. Goes very, very deep indeed. Back it comes in, but the second ball was very comfortably Binh Duong's. A little lack of quality there, I'm afraid, which is maybe one of the reasons why we haven't seen the goal just yet, be it on the transition, be it on that ability to turn the ball over and make something effective happen. Half a chance there when that set piece was squandered, because very often we see teams scoring when the opposition has misplaced something from a set piece, but it wasn't good enough Binh Duong to get out there.
Oh, we shouldn't be surprised.
There we are, the squeeze is on, look, Jamie.
Yep. Shouldn't be surprised that Binh Duong are defensively sound. They've really, I think they conceded 3 goals in their second game in the competition, and outside of that they've only let in 2 goals in total. Very good defensively.
Well, they've got some defending to do right now. That's an angled ball out to the right-hand side. Are these long legs of Bloom going to make it? Yes is the answer there. Oh, that's lovely. Lovely feet now. Can he pick a pass at the end of this one? Does he need to? Unfortunately, he undid all of the good work. All of those good feet, but they're still alive in this, and there's a player free on the far post if they can pick him out. In the end, a bit scrappy from Binh Duong, but they half clear. Still not out, though. Taufik picks things up here. That's a good ball to Bloom. Can he finish? Went for the spectacular. Well, he's involved in everything.
Well, he's great fun to watch. You always get entertainment from him. The ball hoisted up there. You might have expected him to go with his head, but if you've watched him play, you're not surprised to see him go for the extravagant with his foot. He's capable of it.
It does look really as if anything's going to happen, it's going to come from him. In fact, what was more interesting, really, Jamie, was the passage of play a minute or so, maybe even 30 seconds before that, when he brilliantly kept the ball in at the corner flag, took on a couple of players with great feet, and then lost the ball.
And then overran it. And I guess that's why he's playing his football in Indonesia, John, and not playing his trade back in Holland. Because he's got tremendous feet. I bet he's amazing playing 5-a-side football, small-sided games, but it doesn't work frequently enough. He's got to work nearly every time. Sometimes it comes off and it's amazing. The bit of skill in the corner was lovely.
So still we await an opening goal. We've got just over 10 minutes to go in this first half of this first leg of our ASEAN Zonal semi-final here in the AFC Cup competition. Not really much to choose between these two sides. We spoke about some gulfs in quality in terms of the group stage play in this competition. And remember, this is a competition for emerging nations, and these two look as if they're pretty well matched. Well, that was a little bit risky there, and Mansarai managed to just duck in. Snapshot. And Wanda Louise just got the turn, couldn't quite keep the ball down. Idea was there, and the execution wasn't that far off in the end.
No, and he'll be pleased to have gotten a chance. You know, when you're playing as a striker, you can go long periods with barely touching the ball, and at least in that situation, he was there having a pop at goal.
Well, there's the stat that really tells you all you need to know. That shot from Wanda Louise was only their second of the half, and that will disappoint them really here. Now, Bloom's gone down here. Looks as if he did catch a blow to the face. Someone's done well to reach that high.
We did say he's got no fondness in going for headers. That was a situation where he had to go for it.
Well, just to caught the back of someone's head by the looks of things here, and it's a painful blow.
I thought it was an accidental one.
Well, it was Ali Rabo jumping. The arm was up.
The
hand maybe was raised by the Burkina Faso defender there, but he looks shocked to have been adjudged to have fouled him.
You can see he's only got eye for the ball, but that right arm is raised.
Well, he's still down. Is the most influential player, it must be said, for PSM Makassar, so they will take their time and make sure that everything is absolutely right with William Bloom. Let's just be sure there's no ill intent there. As you can see, eyes on the ball, but the hand reaches out. Maybe not entirely necessarily, but I don't think, Jamie, and you're someone who in your playing career would have been on the receiving end of plenty of those. How would you grade that?
It's not one of the worst, is it? It's the hand, it's not the elbow. When it's the point of the elbow, that's the really painful one.
Well, anyway, it's earned PSM Makassar a free kick. Clock inevitably is over it. And once again, the threat really coming from Guy Jr. Evans has pushed forward for this one as well. There's the signal as to where this one's going. They haven't made the most of their set pieces so far in this half. What can they do with this one? Clock lines it up, right-footed. Just curls it in towards the keeper. Too close. Too close, really. And now a chance on the transition, on the break here for Binh Duong. Lifted across and well left. Mansarai Couldn't get it first time, gets it at the second attempt. Does he take his man on? No, instead pushes it in. Lay, who misread the situation, thought Makassar might have been making a run there. And in the end, that's very tidily defended by Asnawi. Well, Bloom's up and about again. Well, that's a neat little ball into the feet there. Half a chance, no foul this time, says the referee. Trunkton it was who thought he had been fouled there. And away we come down the left-hand side. Zam run, if he can get his head up. He's got a couple of players for company. Gets the cross in, and there were two bodies in the box there. One of them blew in, the other guy, Junior. Still just about PSM Makassar's ball. But it kind of fizzles out, and that really is illustrative of much of what we've seen in this half.
I'm afraid so, yeah. That was a really good situation. He had two men in the middle against actually only one defender, but the cross not deep enough, not high enough. And too many things have looked promising and then fizzled out.
So scoreless we are in the 40th minute of this match. The shadows have virtually covered the pitch, and so Jamie, I'm going to hold you to your
promise of a better
second half in terms of athleticism and perhaps even quality at the end of it.
I think the pace has picked up as the half has worn on. If you remember the sort of soporific rate that it started at.
Yeah, it was slow in the sun from the kick-off, it must be said. But no harm done for either side. Both coaches will stress that point. They are exactly where they were at the start of this match, at the start of this first leg of this semi-final. And with what's at stake, they'll be happy enough with their work. Well, he's looking for a foul there and not being given it. That was Win Trong Hui. And with just under 5 minutes remaining, are we going to see a significant moment in this match here?
I think there's too much at stake for that, John. You know, they've gone 40 minutes into the game. Don't want to give anything away just before the half.
Get into the half and then see where you are from there is what you're saying. Yeah, understandable clock, just works it out to the left. The ever-willing Taufik, not the best ball there, not much that can come of that. Back they go again. Evans to his central defensive partner, Abdul Rahman. And it comes once more to Asnawi. That's nicely done. And the fullback goes for a run. He's brought down crudely. Is that a card, you wonder? Because he was past his man there, and there it is. It was a player who had been warned about his behaviour, Win Trong Tin, and sure enough, he has now received that yellow.
There can be no complaints about that refereeing at all. I think that's really good work. It's a nice piece of skill.
And he was away, he was in behind.
Yeah, it's a silly challenge. And in view of what's happened before, Trong Tin, natural candidate for the first yellow.
Question is now, do we get more from Klopp in terms of quality here? It's a wonderful position. He's got players who can run onto this, and you look at that space between that line of defenders and the goalkeeper, and surely that's where it's got to go.
Across the 6-yard line there.
But it doesn't. They change the angle, not for the better perhaps. And in the end, that rather straight ball is easily dealt with.
Why would you do that? If you're trying to cross the ball, where Klopp had the ball is where you want to be. Where Bloom got the ball isn't where you want to be. I don't know.
One or two of the PSM Makassar plans have perplexed us, I think it's fair to say. But, well, that's a pity. That was a great opportunity. Asnawi, who created it for them, goes for that long throw down the line. There is Bloom once again. There are those good feet as he just changes direction. Looks to switch play with the left foot. Van Boot, neatly done. Around his man he goes. But now, how far can he get? That's a good ball. Chips it down the right-hand side. Far post, if they can pick him out. They're throwing bodies at this one. PSM Makassar just about get away with it.
Best move of the game. No question at all about that.
And they're going to come again. That's nicely done.
That right-hand side is looking good. And actually, I thought it was a really good ball played in by Van Voot, and could easily have been the opening goal.
Yeah, we've seen them interchanging Ho Tan Tai and Tove Van Voot down that right-hand side. And once they got that ball in behind, there was real danger. Well, that was the end of the move, and that was where we saw Abdul Rahman go down, probably just suffering a little bit there, having overstretched in, clearing what was a dangerous moment, the most dangerous, as you rightly said, of the half for the visiting team. Still, they weather that particular storm, and they edge closer and closer to a half-time that might just come along with parity here at the Duong Stadium. Nothing fancy about that one, just hoofed downfield by Ali Rabo there. And Duck looks as if he's not at all impressed by the challenge. He was on the receiving end of there, grabs his throat. Abdul Rahman comes to have a word. The referee doesn't look particularly impressed by what's happened here for the captain. Always wonder if that's really going to help. Abdul Rahman not helping the situation a great deal by just yanking there on Win and Duck, as if to say, come on, up you get.
We often see players doing that to one another. I'm never sure that it's really doing any good. And with really just a minute or so to go to half-time, I think Abdul Rahman's really saying, look, come on, get up. We can all have a break in a minute.
It's also perhaps sometimes a little way of saying, come on, it wasn't that bad of a challenge. Let's judge for ourselves now. Well, it was a shoulder barge, wasn't it? And that's probably why he's saying nothing wrong with that. Get up, as probably most central defenders would do.
Yeah, but when you shoulder barge, the ball should be somewhere near you at the time, and the ball was still travelling in the air. Having said that, it wasn't such a robust challenge that you need to roll around on the ground for too long.
It's interesting to see what we're seeing from Winanduk, as I suggested earlier on, and this was, purely based on hearsay. There had been suggestions that there'd been some kind of a falling out between the now departed coach, Tran Minh Chien, and the captain and veteran player, who he wasn't picking. He wasn't getting in the team. And I just wonder if maybe he was looking at Anduk as a waning force, not perhaps the player he once was.
That happens to everyone eventually.
There's Pluim, just drags a short ball, cuffs it to the left. He wants to go again on the right-hand side. And that was never going to find him, but it's still with PSM Makassar. It was until Mansarai plays a very clever ball infield. Time's running a little bit short, though, for anything to happen in this first half. And there's a show of dissent there as two players are separated. Referee in the right place at the right time, but we don't want to see that. Referee just nudged back a little bit there by clearly incensed PSM Makassar player. In that case, it was Rizky Sanjaya.
Well, that's a strong challenge coming in, wasn't it, from Rizky initially. Referee's blown up for that, and I think it's all getting a bit tetchy, and I think they probably do need to cool down at half-time.
So, hot heads all around, and it looks very much as if this will be the last meaningful action of this half. Just thumped forward, rather hopefully there, by Ali Rabo, and barely any time for Guy Jr. and company to string anything together here. But there's a ball from Pluim that might just cause trouble down the left-hand side. That's well defended. Had to stay alert there, did Ho, and he turned nicely, Ho Tantai, and made a necessary challenge.
That was an interesting ball from Pluim there, and very well dealt with by Ho Tantai, who I think has really caught the eye in this first half.
Yep, defensively and offensively, done an awful lot of work down the right-hand side. But it's been a first half, really, of what-ifs and maybes, with moments and flashes of potential, not really leading to anything particular. Neither of the keepers unduly troubled in this first half, and with the promise of a shade that's fallen across the pitch, and perhaps more to come in the second half, we get to half-time in this first leg of our ASEAN Zonal semi-final in the AFC Cup, with a scoreline that maybe shouldn't surprise anyone. It's been a little bit cagey. At times it's lacked a little bit in terms of quality. And as a result of that, the two sides troop off saying, well, we are where we were at the start of this one. So it's half-time. Time for us to take a... Welcome back. We are at the Duong Stadium in Tudamot City, where we, quite frankly, have seen a disappointing first half of this first leg of the ASEAN Zonal semi-final of the AFC Cup. A first half punctuated by blasts of that man's whistle, Rowan Arumagan, who really ended up penalising poor play as much as anything in the first half. It saw neither Binh, the home side, or visitors from Indonesia, PSM Makassar, managed to get a single shot on target. Well, that stat tells you all you need to know, but remember, this is just halfway through the first half of this semi-final, as we come to the second half now of a game that really does look as if it will have to pick up. The sun has set now beyond the stand, which means temperatures will have dropped significantly. Hopefully playing conditions will have improved to the extent that there'll be a little bit more endeavour, a little bit more running. And maybe the suggestion is that running needs to be made by the home side. After all, it's their ground, it's their theoretical advantage, and Becamex Duong will need to show a little bit more urgency. But they're on the back foot straight away, because that's a nice run down the left-hand side. Taufik, very impressive from the first half. Will he get a cross in? Well, he did at the second effort, but it was blocked, and blocked sufficiently well there to stop the danger for now. Ho Tantai, another of the standout players from the first half, albeit a modest first half, but an early opportunity here. Passing up the opportunity to cross that one in was Taufik, and instead he's going to leave it for his captain. And Willem Pluim just jogs across here, looking to offer a bit of quality now in the box. Unsurprisingly, Guy Jr. looks like he's a focal point of this attack. He's got one or two on the edge. It's going to be about the delivery. So Pluim with the right foot drills it in, and that was comfortably cleared. And for the first time in the half, we can hear from my co-commentator, Jamie Reeves. And really, do you agree that the home side needs to make more running in this game?
Absolutely. If it carries on like this, PSM will go away with a point from this and think that's a really good evening's work. So yes, the men in blue have got to do a lot more in this second half.
And here they come right from the outset. Juan de Luis looking to pick out a pass, and he was looking for Winanduk, who waited and waited, and it didn't come. Now he gets the ball into feet and goes to ground. But there's an opportunity, and Tantai looks to just lift it in. That's a lovely ball, looking for Juan de Luis, man behind him. Couldn't make anything of it either, but danger still not cleared. And this is a concerted spell of attacking play here that's not yielded an attempt on goal just yet. for Tantai. Has to push the ball back, but they'll build patiently once again. They've got plenty of bodies forward. And there was Juan de Luis just looping a header over the top there. No real venom in it. And again, in keeping with much of the first half, it was a case of what might have been there, really. That wasn't really the moment. It came earlier in that passage of play, didn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, I think the situation when Ho Tan Tai got down the line and knocked a very intelligent cross in could have been more dangerous.
The interesting talking point pre-match, obviously, was the decision made by PSM Makassar to leave hero Markkanen, who scored 5 goals already in this competition, on the bench. I would imagine there's every chance we'll see him later on, but right now I'll break off as there's an opportunity without him. But from a long way out, a right-footed shot just wide of the right upright, never really troubling them. Zulzaran it was who cut in field and got the shot away, but again, not a shot on target. Might be a little bit disappointed that he was allowed to get that shot away. 3 blue-shirted players there or thereabouts, but still he had a strike, and there's an opportunity. At the other end of the pitch, suddenly, we find this a very different game.
Well, let's hope this is a sign of things to come in the second half. I think we deserve that.
Well, that's Mark Plott looking to inject a little bit of urgency there. Back to Pluim, who did well to dig some kind of a pass out there. There's pressure on here, but in the end, not too much for Rivki. Or rather, Tran, I should say. Sorry, other end of the pitch. Ali Rabo pings the ball that's well controlled by Victor Mansarai, the left-hand side. Now, he looks to go on his own. That certainly was one of the features of the first half. His powerful running. And he very often came up against solid defending from Hasnavi as much as anyone. That throw-in looks dubious in the extreme. We haven't seen a single foul throw penalised by the referee in this game as yet, and I would say conservatively there have been maybe 3 or 4.
Yep. And that was the worst of the bunch, and
well, it's led to a yellow card, which is ridiculous, really.
Is that for Tong Tin? Because if it is, it's his second yellow card, and he's off.
He's off. What a major blow that is for Duong. It really was just a case of ill discipline. It was an odd situation all round. A throw that looked a little bit suspect, a clumsy challenge.
Well, it's that dreadful throw-in, and then...
Oh, well, he can have no complaints about that. What was he thinking?
No, I'm mystified. I really am. Is he trying to get out of the way? I mean, it almost looks like something from a kung fu movie. It's an amazing challenge, and from a man who's already got the yellow card, making his debut in the tournament, and a day to remember for all the wrong reasons.
Well, that changes things. That really does substantially change things. We hadn't seen a great deal of the left back in an offensive sense, so in that regard, they won't be damaged too much. But it's, you know, barely, 6 minutes now into this second half, and they find themselves a man light. That might just impact their approach to this one. Binh Duong.
Well, having said it's up to them to make the game, they're now down to 10 men. They need to put someone in at left full back at the moment. They haven't got anybody there.
Oh, and that looked like being a risky challenge once again. It's a player who made a challenge his half. That's beautifully done. Zul Zamran there, and there are 1 or 2 challenges flying in now from blue-shirted Binh Duong players who have to just maintain some composure at this stage. It looks as if they're struggling for that.
Yeah, there's a loss of discipline all round. Just before half-time, it was a little bit like that. I don't know. Usually it calms down during the 15-minute break, but it's boiled up again here very rapidly.
Well, maybe this is an opportunity that knocks right now for the visitors. It's Zul Zamran himself who serves that one up. The keeper doesn't get an awful lot on it, Tran, and in the end they're unable to work it back into a danger zone through Guy Jr. But it's still going to be a throw for the away side, PSM Makassar. And you feel this might just be a big moment in the match, as Becamex Binh Duong need to regain their composure, need to settle. They've lost a player, and they find themselves now under concerted pressure. Flick on there in vain from Willem Pluim, and an opportunity really for the coaching staff as much as anything. You can hear their voices down on this near side, bellowing out instructions to the Vietnamese side who need to steady.
Well, certainly Binh Duong need to sort themselves out and how they're going to play to cover that defensive gap that they've got. I think for PSM, it may well be a change of approach, because playing against 10 men, perhaps it's a good time to become a bit more expansive.
Well, there's a ball that's drifted into the area, and he couldn't quite get on the end of that one, Juan de Luis, and in the end, that was an effort that Le Tantai will not look back on very fondly. Well, once again, any danger that has come tends to come from down that right-hand side, where Van Vu finds himself, even if he's not crossing, just stretching the game, opening things up a little bit. And when that reverse ball came in, for a moment, it looked as if it was going to drop right onto the foot of Juan de Luis.
There was a full stretch from Aaron Evans there, and Leighton Tai trying to hit it with the outside of his foot, got completely the wrong side of the boot, and almost hit the corner flag.
He's better than that. We've seen that with his set piece delivery. Right, so a little flurry of activity here as 11-man PSM Makassar look to build against 10-man Becamex Binh Duong. That's nicely taken. Very nicely done. Zul Zamron has been one of the standouts of these early exchanges of this second half. He's crossed out a little bit too close to Tran Duong. And in turn, he just kicks the ball away. Not something you particularly want to be doing when you're chasing with a one-man disadvantage. Clock. They've got some experienced players there who know now, PSM Makassar, what it takes to work your way through a depleted opposition.
Well, that's true, and I think it increases the probability of us seeing Markkanen coming on. If your opponents are a man down, then an extra forward could be something you can afford.
Well, they tend to look to play to the wide areas as well, don't they, and make that one-man advantage count, which again might play into that theory of yours, Jamie, of getting someone on the end of anything that might come from the wings. Still, that's all theoretical. This is still 0-0. That's all that matters right now to Binh Duong. They may have lost a man, but they haven't lost their position in this game as yet.
Well, the way they've solved it at the moment is to go 3 at the back, which of course is an option these days. It does require the wide midfield players to adopt some defensive duties as well.
Yeah, no change in personnel, which is something you more likely see. There's the foul count, and we've spoken about their discipline and lack of it today. And of those 14, I'd venture close to half of them came from the man who's now been sent off, Nguyen Trung Tin, who committed a couple that added up to 2 yellows and therefore a red. The last of them, on its own, could well have been a straight red, Jamie.
It could easily have been, yes.
Oh, that's well done indeed. And he might feel he's a bit unlucky there, Wonder Louise. He controlled it well under extreme pressure from Evans and didn't win a free kick and then lost his discipline and conceded one.
Let's have a look at that again. He's done well, leaning into his man.
Probably just fell, though.
Yep, I think that's okay.
So the direct approach that time taken. We may see a little bit more of that. We may see a little bit more of one-up, really, from this Binh Duong side. Again, looking at the relative lack of work rate we've seen from the number 11, from their captain, who's just over on that left-hand side. He's dropped deeper now. Maybe they're a little bit light. Now, there's an opportunity down the right-hand side. It needs a good ball in, and it doesn't quite get it. Because Guy Jr. is someone you'd want to really have on the end of one of those rather than delivering it.
Yeah, certainly. It was a very nicely worked position. And interestingly, found the gap where the fullback's missing.
Oh, the officials might need to come back to a late challenge there. The referee says he spotted it, and he's keeping a close eye on the guilty party. But the advantage he's playing, though, is with PSM Makassar. The only problem is they've got a man down. And as Rambo looks to thump that one away, we do now come back, and there is going to be a caution by the looks of things here, because that was a challenge that has left Taufik on the ground. And it looks as if we're zooming in on Nguyen Tan Long as the potential guilty party. We'll have confirmation of that very shortly. Be interesting to get a replay. It did look, Jamie, as if there was a challenge well after the ball had gone.
Yeah, I think so, and I quite like that from the referee, where he just says, OK, I've seen that. You've got the ball. You've got advantage at the moment. Comes back and yellow card. That's good. Not the first time that Taufik, yeah, look, he stepped across and into his man. It's, yep, it's a cynical foul.
Cynical foul, and the forearm was raised a bit, so hence the distress of Taufik, but nothing too serious. It looks as if he's up and about and fine once again. Did we see the card shown, though?
I think the card was shown. Certainly the referee was reaching for that top pocket. I'll wait confirmation, but I think there was a card for it.
Well, that's nicely worked. Now, Plum, is he going to take on the shot? Cuts back inside and maybe regrets it. Still, the danger's not cleared, though, if they can work their way around the outside here. And again, he's been so willing a runner. Nicely done, Zul Zamron once again. Will he get across at the end of this one? Well, he needs some help. Taufik supplies it. That should, though, drift out of play. It duly does for a Binh Duong goal kick, but there's no denying at the moment which team is in the ascendancy. And it's PSM Makassar who are asking all the questions. And quite frankly, Binh Duong look as if they're cracking a little bit under pressure.
I should think Kalasic, the coach for PSM, will be delighted at the situation that he finds himself. Half an hour to go. His opponents are a man down. His team were playing okay beforehand anyway. Certainly down this left-hand side, Zulum has posed a few problems.
And here we are again. A little bit of dissent shown, Wanda Louise it was on this occasion. And this is a game that just feels as if it's bubbling a little bit here, waiting to boil over.
I think when players feel there's an injustice, then they want to take things in their own hand. They start getting upset about everything. They need cool heads. They need to calm down. They need the captain to settle things down for them.
Well, what they have got now is they've got a free kick with a long blue line on the edge of that PSM Makassar box. As Lay serves it up, but serves it too long once again, and that was comfortably taken by Rifki there. Who will be in no great hurry as his team just looks to spread out and stretch Binh Duong once again. Again, Jamie, just coming back to my point about the Binh Duong captain, Win Anduk, now that he's dropped deeper, we're seeing perhaps even less of him in terms of meaningful engagement in the game. At some point or other, surely a coach has to decide that they need a little bit more work rate as they're a man down.
Yes, I think you're certainly right there. I think you need to be bold in these situations. You need to make choices, not just hope things are going to work out.
That's a lovely little run. It's a lovely run that might lead to something, and in the end, it very nearly did. It was Win Tan Long who got across and sprawled, making the challenge, hence the appeals for a handball there, but it was a run that went and went and went, and in the end it looked very much as if Nawi, I think it was going to get all the way through. Now, the worry about that, if this was a UEFA competition with VAR, you'd start worrying about that going to an appeal, even though he clearly had no idea the ball was going to strike him on the arm in the dive there, but you'd have worried about a handball. Anyway, on we go. And that's a pass to nowhere from Trong Quay. It's a curious game. You feel that, as much as anything, it might just be a mistake that leads to a breakthrough and leads to a goal in this one. We've seen plenty of them, but will one happen in a meaningful part of the pitch? That's lovely from Wonder Luiz. He's going to go on his own, is he? Has he got a shot in him here? Well, in the end, he took on one too many. Now it's Guy Junior's turn to do it on his own, but he can't break through either. At least something for the crowd to applaud, a smattering of applause, and they, as much as we, Jamie, hoping that a game breaks out here, something a little bit more cohesive and coherent in terms of both teams' play works. We've just seen fits and starts and sporadic bits of play here.
Yes, game not lived up to its the expectations so far, but we've got nearly half an hour to go. Could be an exciting finish.
That's really easily picked out there by Zul Samran. No way forward there, though. And a bit like the first half, I've liked it when Zul Samran's operated on the left-hand side. Of course, they can switch sides. Rizky Sanjay, the player who has really sort of drifted out of things a little bit. And there was a player who caught the eye in the first half, Victor Mansarai, but struggling to get going in this, really. And then he gets an important boot in there just to send it flying back to his goalkeeper. Well beyond the hour mark now, and still nothing really to choose between these two sides, despite the numerical advantage for the visitors. Mansarai rolls it out to his left.
His body language spoke volumes there, didn't it? He was looking up and couldn't see anybody ahead of him doing anything of interest.
Well, here he is again. Does he go again? Well, that's nicely done. Oh, and that's a trip. Is it in the box? Is it in the box? No, says the referee. That's going to bear some inspection, one would imagine, Jamie. There was no denying there was a foul committed. He has indicated really, really right on the edge of that line. Is he right?
I think, given that he's not convinced he's inside the area, that he has to give it just out.
Abdul Rahman it was
he's
with
just
the challenge.
his heel, hasn't he, really?
And the contact occurred outside the box,
Just outside.
It looks as if he's made a big call, which is what he's paid to do. Made a big, big call there. Otherwise, that was penalty for Binh Duong. As it is, they find themselves in a strong position here, potentially. But we haven't seen a great deal of quality from set pieces in this game so far. There's nothing malicious about that challenge. He just clipped his ankle, didn't he, on the way past.
In the first half, a couple of times, Binh Duong managed to get somebody spare on the far post from these free kicks, or set pieces generally.
And this is what they'll be looking to do. It's Le Tantai who's got that little bit of whip on it, his delivery. We've seen that already in this game. If he can put something in there, far post is where they may be going. And that's where you find Wonder Luiz. You feel probably the most likely route to goal. Here it comes. It's Le Tantai. Whips it in under the crossbar, and it's punched half cleared by Rifki. Long-range effort, not the very best you'll ever see. And an opportunity on the break here. Oh, that's a pullback and another card. Referee reaching for his top pocket straight away there. And you can run away all you like, but I'm afraid that Win Trong Quay is a yellow card. So here comes a change. It's Din Huang Max arriving on the scene here, replacing Trong Quay. Nigerian, in case you're wondering. His name's also Maxwell Irakpo. Been at the club for a couple of seasons now.
Well, he's one of the players who played in that previous game and was rested for tonight. And that's as clear a yellow card as you will ever see in a football match.
And his last involvement in the football match as well. They're substituted and going out with a blaze of inglory there. So change for the opposition as well here. And so we see the number 11. That's Rahmat Shamsuddin arriving on the scene. So we saw another neat little challenge coming in from Liz Hantai there, who's come into this game a lot more in the last few moments. Well, the first involvement there for Duong Max, but in the end it was Mansarai chasing back a little bit too overzealously there. But it goes the way of Binh Duong, so a little passage of play.
I don't think any of the players knew exactly what decision had been given there.
Well, they've made their changes, and let's see if that impacts the game. Still a long way to go in this one. Something like a quarter of the match remaining, but it's not going anywhere at the moment. And there's a player who we haven't seen much on the ball lately, Plume, but it was a neat little tidy piece of play from him. Bit of space on the right-hand side. A long-range shot. Had the keeper scrambling. Nowhere really near the target. But he switched to the right-hand side now, Azul Zamran, who has been, without a doubt, PSM's player of this half so far. But that was ambitious, really.
It's a long, long way out. Having said that, I don't mind players taking shots from long range. And you're right, Plum's been remarkably quiet in this second half.
Oh, clock there's got to be a little bit careful. He was close in attendance. And, oh, that's brilliantly taken by Wanda Luiz. Wonderful start. What can he do with the ball now at his feet? Well, he's still got it. Takes a lot of knocking off the ball. That clearance just about gets the job done for PSM. Play goes on. And it's a funny, scrappy little passage of play too. For a moment there was a one-on-one opportunity. Another player stays down on the ground, and the referee's going to have to bring on the medical staff, as it looks like it's a head injury. Looks like it's Tor Van Vu has gone down. And, well, I'll let you decide for yourselves just how much contact there was there. Certainly none on the face,
no,
despite his protestations.
No. It's a hand slightly on his throat, and he clutches his face as if he's been punched. And I'm sad to say, John, that's a feature of the modern game that I really dislike immensely. And it's a shame, because he's a talented footballer. I like Tor Van Vu. Don't have to like all aspects of his play, though, obviously.
No, what it's done, though, as well, is it's just broken up the game again, unfortunately. We've said that so many times in this match. Just little scrappy, niggly incidents, forcing the referee to blow his whistle to bring play to a halt. And as a result, we haven't really had that much flow to this game. Now, Evans then just doing the simple thing, putting the ball out. 20 minutes remain. At the moment, on the evidence of what we've seen, scrappy half chances at best. Nothing really too clear-cut. And this player coming more and more into things for Binh Duong. Under Luiz has been outstanding, really, in the few moments when they've managed to get forward without creating anything. That was an excellent physical battle there. Guy Junior's won it. He's got away from Rabo there, and he puts a decent ball in. Bloom couldn't make anything of it. Falls to the edge of the box, and that was a strong enough strike. The needed blocking strike coming in from, yeah, you guessed it, once again, Zul Zamran.
He really has been a live wire in the second half, and his team have needed that. And obviously, as we've said before, it's fine if PSM go through and get a goalless draw, but in the circumstances, you think they could be more ambitious. It's there for the taking.
And what we've seen once or twice in the last 5 minutes is one-on-one situations, particularly with Guy Junior just finding himself with one defender for company, and that's going to perhaps happen more and more as Binh Duong look to maybe chase this home game despite their numerical disadvantage. They just got themselves caught once or twice at the back. Still, Jamie, we await the arrival, if there is to be one, of Viro Markkanen, the 5-goal leading scorer in this competition for PSM Makassar. And it's not to be him now. So instead we see Ferdinand Sinaga, the 30-year-old forward, who scored once in this competition this season already. And he is indeed replacing a man who's worked his socks off. You said that would be the case for Guy Jr. at the start of this match, given the role he was given. And he's given a decent account of himself in that respect, at least.
Yep, he's worked tirelessly, thanklessly in many situations as well.
And there's half a chance. Oh, it didn't quite fall, though, for Max, who looked as if he was in a position of some danger.
I have to say, it's an interesting choice bringing on Ferdinand. It's not what we were expecting.
Okay, and another change now. They're coming thick and fast, this one. Seeing the end of the outing for To Van Vo, to be replaced by a 21-year-old forward in Nguyen Tien Lin. So fresh young legs on the pitch at a time when they really do need it. Neatly done there up until the finish, and that's not even going to be out of play. Ball still alive. Quite what Victor Matsurai is going to make of that, well, remains to be seen. The moment down the other end, you can see these gaps opening up in this game, Jamie, by the way. Midfield has been vacated, sort of one end to another at times, and that's William Plum looking to bulldozer his way through a few blue shirts. He wins a free kick, but could have kept going.
Yes, I think the referee was a little bit quick with the whistle there. He could have waited a little bit longer. Clearly a foul there, but Plum's got good balance for a big man. He's still got the ball. On the other hand, he looked as if he was quite happy to have the free kick. He's had that look throughout this second half, hasn't he? He's not really looked as if he's enjoyed himself at all.
Struggled a bit here. There's Clark who takes a shot. Yeah, the thing about this, Jamie, as well, is they've passed up the opportunity to make more of that free kick. They've not really made much of them so far. That's, again, just a ball floated in. Very, very comfortably dealt with by Tran Duong now. They've lacked a cutting edge. That looks as if it's going to find its way all the way through to the other keeper, Rivki Makassar. This is a game that, again, just looks as if it's drifting again.
I think the top of the game you asked if it was going to be a goal feast or it was going to be a cagey affair, John. I think we've got the answer now. Probably if it had stayed at 11 against 11, it might be a bit more expansive, but...
Oh, that's nicely done, nicely read. Hold tight it was, and there's good play keeping him there from Wanda Louise. He looks up, he's got a man on the far post, but he looks as if he's picked out the keeper, and has indeed. Too close to Ricky. That's nicely angled out to the right-hand side by Willem Plum, who's gone again, by the way. There's an opportunity here in the middle of the box, but he just showed too much of it there to the centre half and across with the challenge. Okay. Tien Lin. Mark Klock. Taufik. Just checks inside again. Composed on the ball, and that's a smart play. Out he goes. And there's an opportunity when that would have needed something truly spectacular. Maybe more than Ferdinand Sinaga has in his locker, but he went for it.
Well, full marks for ambition there. A little bit behind him. Tempted to go with the bicycle kick. In the end, it's a sort of sideways-on version. That really didn't get the technique at all right.
That was the two substitutes linking up there, Ramat and Ferdinand Sinaga. And, they brought something a little bit different to the away side, as the home support does all it can to just drum up something from a team which looks as if it's squandering its home advantage here. Their cause hardly helped, of course, by the sending off just 5 minutes into the second half of the left back, Win Trung Tin. Made it a much harder second half for Binh Duong side, which didn't really have much to build on from the first period, to be honest.
It was never going to be easy, but certainly he made it a lot harder. And you've got to feel sorry for the coach. You know, you set everything up for the second half, and your fullback does something stupid early.
Ali Rabo then did all he needed to do, just clearing.
Well, he's been very steady throughout, hasn't he, Ali Rabo? Okay, let's put it the other way. Defences have been on top. They've dealt with everything that's come their way pretty comfortably. Both sides looked a little bit more dangerous on the flanks.
Without really offering any challenging angles or balls into the area, nothing particularly dangerous offensively from either side. That's almost a 50-50. In fact, it turned into a 50-50 there, and Mansarai is furious that he didn't get the decision. Plum for PSM Makassar. Squeezed out there, really, and in the end, he forced the pass. And again, that little shake of the head, not a happy player, not a happy captain. He's not really been able to get into this game the way he did in the first period, when he was able to carry the ball into dangerous positions, dictate the tempo for his side. It's been somewhat peripheral in this half.
He has. He's got that sort of brooding look about him. And such a big personality that when he's not running the show for them, it's difficult to see who can take over.
Well, that's an aimless ball clipped forward that might just turn into something there. Lea Tantai once again, always keen to get on the ball, always keen to play a ball in, and there it is! The crossing was all that they needed, but the finish was supplied by the young substitute Wen Tianlin, and he did it very, very nicely indeed. Lea Tantai with a ball that asked questions of the defence, and questions they simply couldn't answer.
Well, they finally get a good cross in, and this young substitute has done really so well. Just a little glancing header right into the corner of the goal. Timed the run perfectly. And, well, I didn't see that one coming, I've got to say, John. I thought if anyone was going to get the goal, it would be PSM, but fair play to the home side.
Well, it was a goal really made by the number 14. We've seen that he has got quality on the ball. He went and got it. You know, when that ball struck in there, it's all about the run, but that finish was accomplished in a way we haven't seen from any of the strikers on show, and he's really just run into there on spec.
Well, there's so many good things in that. First of all, you're right, Lea Tantai having a little look up and then just floating the ball in. The timing of the run was excellent, and that's such a difficult header because it's coming, it's barely changed the angle of the ball, just done enough to creep it inside the net. Fantastic goal.
Well, there's a young man who's made a big, big impact on this game. 21-year-old Wen Tianlin has got the home fans in very, very good voice indeed, and that's come as something of a shock to PSM Makassar, who probably felt that even if they weren't at their best, they were doing fine. Here's one to Luis. He has to be careful with the pressure on Evans there. Is he going to win this one? Was it a back pass? The crowd says yes.
I say yes.
And the referee
yes.
has been given a little bit of assistance here. Certainly looked as if that came back off the foot of Evans.
And it's a deliberate pass back to the goalkeeper. It's quite clear.
He's done well to get in front of his man there, and from that moment on, Evans was struggling. But was that deliberately a pass back, or was it just a lack of control?
I think when it goes straight to the goalkeeper like that, you have to say it's a deliberate pass back.
Now, what do you do from these, Jamie, quickly? Obviously, it's very, very close. You can see the 6-yard box just a yard or so away.
Well, it's an indirect free kick, so all those defenders have got to be behind the goal line. So the only thing you can do is just to presumably knock it slightly backwards, and then the guy who's striking it has got to hit it towards the roof of the net.
Massive opportunity. No sooner have they gone in front than they get themselves an opportunity to double that lead. And it looks as if the power, I mean, Ali Rabah looks as if he fancies driving this one towards the roof of that net, as you rightly said. It's all about being cute and powerful at the same time. Here's the move. Is there a finish? It's Rabah! And instead he drilled it low without a great deal of accuracy. He was going wide. Oh, brilliantly won back here. And it suddenly looks now as if PSM Makassar have to be careful that this one doesn't get too far away from them. Suddenly an urgency and a snap to the Binh Duong play here. They sense that there might be another goal coming their way. Max has made a run down the right-hand side, and they've certainly got some legs on the park now. Substitutes playing their part. There's the little number 14 there who's gamely chasing a lost cause, who's really got them up and running once again. Lea Tantai. And now it's a touch of cramp obviously there, but it's the home side, Jamie, that suddenly have just got a new lease of life in this game.
It's one of the great things with football. This is the man we expected to see at some stage, Makassar. A bit too late. But football is, because it's such a relatively low-scoring game, just one moment can change everything around. They were nowhere near 10 yards back when that ball was taken. I don't think you can afford to have an extra touch. I think you just roll it back and let the second man smack it.
Yeah, they were always going to close that, and as it was, it spooked central defender who was looking to hit the ball, and the result was he screwed it wide. Well, medical staff are there. It's clearly just a little cramp at the end of a taxing outing. Well, let's talk a little bit about the last throw of the dice there from Dario Kalasic, the 27-year-old Finn, Eero Makinen, who you've just seen coming on, and you might have noticed a very imposing physical specimen. He's got 5 goals already in this AFC Cup campaign. And, you know, Jamie, you've seen enough of the player. He's someone that they need to really just get on the end of crosses, isn't he?
Well, he needs a lot of chances to score the goals that he does. He's missed an awful lot of chances from very close range, but if you keep getting chances, then the odds are that you will convert some of them. And he has got a number of goals to his name. He's not the most mobile, he's not the cleverest on the ball, but he is a physical presence. And he's got to be, I thought he was got to be worth a throw of the dice a little bit earlier. Maybe when Ferdinand came on, I'd have had Makinen on.
Well, he's got time, and it might just take one set piece, one opening. And as it is, they've got a bit of defending to do, because it's a rejuvenated Becamex Binh Duong side that looks to hoist the ball into the evening sky here nothing really coming of that, and the ball rather wasted, to be honest, at a time when they have a 1-0 advantage.
But he's a fella who's given them a real game in this second half. I think Wander Luis has been excellent. He's actually done more, I think, when he's played on his own up front there.
Yeah, it's a good point. And that's the first contribution there of the towering Finn, and it's to concede a free kick. The player's down holding his face. And one suspects that the Becamex Binh Duong players know what they're going to get when Makanen's involved, and know perhaps how they're going to react whenever there's a challenge. You might want to call it the Peter Crouch syndrome. Defenders do what they do when he's around. Well, here's another interesting option for Binh Duong to take. Their Kyrgyzstan defender, Benjamin Shumeko, presumably in response to the arrival of Markkanen.
Yep, absolutely. He's not bad in the air. And I didn't think Markkanen did anything wrong on that challenge at all. As when we looked at it again, no arm raised, he just jumped and beat his man.
Well, a slip there on the delivery, and the ball's given away once again by Binh Duong. They need to be a little bit better than that, as they certainly don't want their slender 1-0 lead taken away from them. They've worked hard for this with 10 men, and it would be something to take away from home. There's an opportunity to get a cross in. Stayed in play, we understand, and that's neatly done as well. There's a robust challenge came in from Shumeko once again. And there's the danger man, Markkanen, trying to tee it up. Ooh, and there's a challenge there that needed to be very, very accurate.
Well, they certainly got the ball in that they needed to Markkanen, and he did pretty well there.
It was Ramat who found himself on the end of this one. One way or another, Markkanen managed to lay it off very well, actually. The challenge just came in from behind there, from a combination of players there. It was partly Benjamin Shumeko who got in there, and it was very risky.
It was awfully close to being a penalty, wasn't it?
So we've seen more drama in the last few minutes of this game than we saw in the preceding 80 or so. Nothing wrong with that, though. We got to the business end of this game here in Binh Duong, and you wouldn't rule out something else happening before the final whistle goes. Thump forward by Ali Rabo. And look at those gaps in midfield. Really has opened up this. Just crying out for a little bit of quality, and there might be something else there. That was Anduk who tried to get something going there. Once again, whether or not you agree with the decision, it was Lei Tan Tai who made the referee make a decision by wanting the ball, getting on it, being good enough to draw a challenge.
Yeah, he's been very influential, hasn't he, Lei Tan Tai? He did focus on that woefully mishit shot earlier on, but he's done lots of good things in this game, and including the assist for the goal. And although we talk about the foreign signings, it's several of the Vietnamese indigenous players who've really caught the eye. Van Vu Tan Tai, or the two Tan Tais, in fact.
But we're not done just yet, and that falls in the area, but not to the liking of the referee.
I think in the circumstances, if Binh Duong go through to a 1-0 win, I think they'll be delighted with the outcome. They haven't conceded an away goal. They have managed to win the match, or if it stays this way, they will have won the match. And they will go away thinking, actually, this team aren't way better than us or anything. We can go toe-to-toe with this lot.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 minutes, as you saw there, added on. And are we going to see anything happen here? Markkanen got to the ball, couldn't direct it.